Diane here, your resource for all things systems, operations, and automations so that you can scale to seven figures in the next few years and be a CEO without burning out while you have more freedom, fun, and flexibility in your business. Who doesn't want that, right? So I have been getting a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries, a lot of messages from you guys about, well, what's the big deal with systems anyways, right? Why do they really matter? Because I've checked all the boxes, I've built all of the things, I've followed Traction EOS, but it's still hard. My business is still really hard. My business still feels really heavy. Things are not gelling the way that I want them to. So what gives, right? What am I missing? What do I actually need to do to scale? So the things that you guys are getting wrong about being able to scale your business and, building out that foundation actually fall into three buckets. There are three big primary questions I have when a client or a contact comes to me saying, all right, I did the things, I did all the things everyone talks about when they're scaling, but my business still feels really heavy. My business is not gelling. I don't know, like something is just off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm still working a lot of hours. My team is not stepping up. I'm not getting what I need from them. We have all the tech in place. We built all the automations, but it's not flowing. Things are really rough. There's a lot of friction. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. So if your goal is to be able to scale your business, take yourself out of the business, really step into that CEO role and really have that thriving business that runs without you, the business machine that goes on without you, but you're running into these friction points. One, it is actually pretty natural for this to happen. There's always a little bit of a transition point, but if you are still thinking, hey, this is more than just transition, this is more than, hey, I put in a new process and we're just getting used to it. This is just a systemic issue around why nothing is gelling, nothing is really coming together. Then those challenges really fall into three big buckets. And those three things are what business owners really get wrong about what it takes to scale your business to seven figures, right? So when I have a client come to me saying, all right, I did all the things, I built the systems, I hired the team, I put in all the tech, I did the automations thing, I did all those things, I did everything my coach told me, but I still can't really make any progress. It still feels really heavy. It still feels really hard. Well, there are three big things that I'm going to ask them, right? The first one is, well, did you really put in the right tech? A lot of the times, transitioning and streamlining your business, really starting to up-level your automations really means changing out the tech tools that you're really used to working in, or, putting in tools that you never felt really comfortable working in, especially if you're not comfortable with the tech side. Like, it mean changing out your project management tool, might be massively changing, how you organize everything on your hard drive and then putting it into the cloud in a way that is a way for where your team can collaborate. That could be a big change if, tech has not been an area that you feel really comfortable in. So did you make the right choices there? Did you put in the right tech that you actually feel comfortable with and that reflect your actual process so it feels natural for you to use it? If that is not something that you took into account, then that's probably a big friction point within your business. You probably didn't put in the right pieces of technology, or they weren't built in a way that felt intuitive for you so that you can start to really use them and integrate them into your day-to-day process. That could be a really big friction point because that's probably one of the biggest changes, and it's a really tangible change because it's tools that you're going to probably be using day in and day out, and it's probably a massive change from what you're used to, right? So think about whether or not you put the right tech in place to really help you leverage that, feel intuitive, that mirror your process and how you like to work. Because if you haven't considered those things, that's probably a big area and a big reason why your scaling tactics, your things that you've done to prepare your business for scaling are not working, or they don't feel like they're working. All right. The next big question I really will ask business owners is like, all right, if you say that, you feel really comfortable with the technology piece, then let's look at the systems. Did you actually build the right systems, right? Like if you have seen my other videos on what it really takes to systemize a business, you'll know that not all operating procedures are created equal, that not all systems are created equal. There are a million approaches to creating systems, and the focus of your systems really needs to be on delegation, right? Were these systems built to delegate? Were these systems clear and concise and really actionable for someone who is not me, right? Those are the questions that you really need to ask yourself when you're thinking about your systems, and wondering like, hey, if things are not gelling, the work is still ending up back on my plate, my team is not sure what they're doing, the results that we're getting are like all over the board, they're not doing it as well as I would do it, then I would really look into your systems. Did you build the right systems? Did you build them in the right way? Did you make them palatable, delegatable, actionable for someone who is not you, who doesn't have the background that you have, who doesn't know the ins and outs of your process, who can't just kind of make it up on the fly because you are, as business owners, we have a tendency like, I know everything in my business. I knew the reasons why I did certain things. I knew the reasons why I created, documents in the way that I did because I wanted to deliver something specific to a client. If I didn't include those parts of my thought process when I transitioned that work to my team, if I didn't include that in our operating manual, then they would have no idea, right? So they were never going to get the results that I was going to get because I never built those pieces in. And I see that with a lot of business owners where you have a particular result or your particular outcome in mind, but you don't build it into the actual process. You don't build it into the system. You don't build it into your operating manual. So no one knows except for you that it exists. And that's how a lot of work ends up back on your plate, right? No one knows how to do it besides you. So you're the only one who can do it. So really look at your systems. Did you build the right systems? Did you include all of the pieces to make it actionable, to get the results that you want to get, right? Every single time. If you haven't done that, if you haven't considered those things, that's probably a really big reason why your scaling tactics or your scaling strategies or all the work that you've done to scale doesn't feel like it's really coming together. It feels like it's not really gelling. It's still kind of like, I don't know, this is really not working for me. I'm not sure. I don't know why I'm still working all these hours. I don't know. Like, this is just the hot mess express, right? So that's a place for you to really look into whether or not you actually created systems that are usable, that are real assets and tools within your business. If you didn't do that, then I suggest going back to those systems and revisiting them and making sure that they are the right processes that are actionable and are really going to empower the people who are taking over that work for you. All right. And then the third big question I asked them was like, okay, we looked at the systems, those seem like they're okay. We looked at the tech, that seems like it's okay. Well, then do you trust your team, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are trying to take yourself out of the business, but you're still being pulled back into it, or you feel like it's very sticky, it keeps pulling you back in, then do you trust your team? Did you hire the right people, right? And this is a little bit of a fine-tooth balance. It's like a very fine line between trusting and hiring people who are just maybe not a good fit. And no, I don't really trust them. And I'm finding loopholes and ways for me to really take myself back into the business, right? So there's two things to look out for when, the team component or the hiring component might be questionable. And that might be and that's what you're exploring as to why your business still feels like unwieldy, really heavy, unbalanced, like you're still really much you're still very much a big part of the day-to-day operations. It really comes down to the team, because at the end of the day, if you have the right tech, if you have the right systems, you still got to have people to execute it for you, right? Like if you want to be out of the business, somebody has to be doing the work for you, because 100% automation is impossible unless you're going to build your own apps, or you're a developer or a tech person who can build and code and do all of your apps and your bots yourself, right? So think about the trust that you instilled in your team. Have you systemized how you create trust? Have you built in those checkpoints for trust within your business? And then when you think about the resources that you hired, did you hire the right roles for your business? Did you hire the support that's actually going to get you lift, that is actually responsible for the systems within your business? Have you conveyed that to them, right? Like a big step that I see a lot of business owners doing is like, hey, I hired a contractor. They're supposed to be an expert. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. Well, they know what to do within the big scheme of things. There's still a lot of processes that are specific to your business because it's your business, right? So if you don't tell them, if you are not communicating some of those soft skills or those soft details and really making them successful, then that is a big area, and that might be a big reason why you can't let go, where you don't feel good letting go, because you've put yourself in a position where letting go is impossible, right? Like you have found a way where you're like, oh, I didn't hire, if I didn't hire the right role, if I hire a marketer when I really need a project manager, that person is never going to be successful in that role. They're never going to be able to support you, and you're always going to be jumping in to do the project manager role, right? So those are the things that you really need to look at. Did I hire the right role? Do I trust them? Did I purposely build trust with them? Have I been intentional about that? Have I built in a process for us to establish our trust and our feedback cycle, right? So those are things that you really need to look at. And then the other side of this is that, are you actually mentally, emotionally prepared to let go of your business? A lot of times business owners say, yes, I am. I want to let it go. I really want to take myself out of the business. I really want to run it part-time. But are you really, right? Are you really open to letting go and not doing everything yourself? This really takes a little bit of self-work and really starting to understand, like, am I setting everyone up for failure? Am I trying to find ways to sneak back in there to do the work on my own, right? So I've certainly seen clients who have been in this position. I definitely had contacts and colleagues who are just like, we definitely want the dream. We want to be able to let go, but we don't want to lose control. We don't want to, take our hands off of the business, right? And that is a fine tuning thing that again goes back to your systems themselves. So if you think about it, like, all of your things, all the pieces that I've talked about today kind of build on each other. The tech, the systems that wrap around it, and then finally the team that wraps around the systems and the core tech. If any of these pieces are not really working or in sync, then the whole business as a machine really stops. But at the outer layer, it really comes down to the trust. Like, all right, so we've done all of the pieces and now it's time for me to let go. Do I feel really good about actually letting go and letting somebody else be in charge of these processes? There are a lot of times where you might not actually be ready to do that, and that's okay. But then don't make the goal, I want to be out of the business totally, I only want to work an hour a week, right? So really be honest with yourself about what you want to do so that you can then build the trust that is appropriate with your team, with the people who are supporting you, right? So those are really the big areas that I see business owners have challenges in when they say, nope, my business is not working. I did all the scaling things. It's not working. It's broken. There's something wrong. These processes don't work. This is not the right way to scale, right? These are the three areas you really need to look at. Did you put in the right tech that feels intuitive? Did you build the right systems that are, that are actionable for someone who is not you? And do you really trust your team? And are you willing to let go, right? If those are areas that you need to look at, then make sure that you're going into them one at a time in a really systematic approach, so that you're not like, if you're looking at it in all one big pie, and you're like, oh yeah, all three pieces are broken. You can't fix them all at one time, right? Make sure that you're going at it one step at a time. That's really the only way to diagnose and fix the challenges themselves. And just know that, yeah, there will be a transition period. If you're just coming into this and you're saying, hey, I'm preparing to scale right now and I'm expecting to hire someone, blink my eyes, and then have the whole thing be done and ready for me, know that there's going to be a transition period and that you do need to kind of like work into it a little bit. You have to get used to using the tools. You got to get used to using the systems, right? And you got to let your team do their job. But if it's more than that, if it's just like, no, this is crunchy, work is still ending up back on my plate, I am not working less hours, the team isn't using the systems or the tools are breaking down, then you know that there is a bigger problem. And then these are usually the core places that you probably have gotten some part of your scaling strategy has gone off the rails, right? So look at these three areas. If your scaling has been, I did the things, I checked the boxes, but it's not easier, right? These are the areas that you really need to look at in order to make sure that you've scaled properly. And these are where the fine-tuning pieces happen that really make your business able to scale and build you that really bulletproof, solid foundation. All right, so where are you in your scaling process? Have you knocked out all of these pieces? Have you thought about these things as you're building your own business? If you haven't done that yet and your business still feels really heavy, go back to this checklist and take a look at where you might be going off the rails. All right, so until next time, bye guys.